I had to wait for the previous videos to transfer my computer. So I've been this. What I'm about to say has been cooking a second. Oh, yeah, pretty good. It's definitely worth your time. Um, Actually, damn, that didn't go the way I wanted it to. I was making a joke because typically someone makes a video. What they're gonna say has been cooking a long time. They've been working on it. So I was being sarcastic when I said definitely worth your time. Because when I said it's been cooking a bit, I just meant the few minutes that I was waiting for the transfer to finish. Anyway, all right. So here are some things that I had queued up to say. One, all right. Two, my brain isn't very good at queuing up. At my mechanisms aren't super good. It's an ADHD thing. I don't have a really good guy there who's like making sure people stay in line. So several things will pre-liver and then they kind of come out a little bit out of order. Now let's try to remember what number one was. What was the whole point? Yes. Okay. So it's really not number one but we've already used two, so we'll say it's number three. Here's what I was going to say. I was going to say something sad, but I'm going to start with something not sad, and then we'll get to the sad bit. Okay, that was number three. And then number one was the. What was the last thing you heard? And can you hear this? Okay, so. Um. I had it. I just had to change the mics. Um. I'm lucky. Millions of people before me have been confused and really unhappily confused um, during their lifetimes, like throughout their lifetimes, like to the point of suicide. Um, I'm wondering whether what we can say is that what I'm trying to say is that millions of people before me were confused by disagreement. Maybe they thought a thing to be true, someone else says something else is true, and they're like, why are we disagreeing? Um, let's say that some of these people that were confused by disagreement and the people that I'm talking about were like, oh, okay, so you must be right. I'm not getting it. What is happening? This is really frustrating. I have to understand. Most people, and that's okay if, it's okay to be this person, um, isn't tortured by by the cognitive dissonance, by the confusion of thoughts happening here and different thoughts happening there. And those thoughts being sure that those thoughts are right. And these thoughts not seeing that. Um, millions of people before me have been obsessively confused by human behavior and then upsettingly confused to the point of being really upset or confused with a low valence confusion. I've experienced a low valence confusion and high arousal regarding the question how conflict. Okay, conflict of course can it triggers for everybody high arousal, right? And most people say, oh, they're stupid, fuck them, and they write them off. And some people are like, wait, what if they're not stupid? What is happening? How come like we're saying this and they're saying that, and those two things are different? And how come when we have a conversation about it, I'm not feeling like we're really doing anything productive? Like, what is going on? We're supposed to be like intelligent and reasonable, but like we're still disagreeing about things I feel like we should have figured out. I'm not saying I'm right, but I just feel like the question should be answered by now. And I feel like we're saying really different answers. And I'm just really confused by all the confusion. Millions of people before me. Or there have been people who've just been like, oh, I'm not happy, or I don't fit in the world or whatever. And I don't get why. I don't get what's going on. So I'm incredibly lucky to be an ADHD person in a time when ADHD information is super widely available. And I'm not talking about in the past few years. I'm talking about, I was diagnosed 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But I guess also now it's cool. To have had ADHD during that, maybe one of these days I'm gonna sleep with a man. So if I'm LGBTQIA, um, on a time where we knew that like that was okay, and then most importantly, I got to understand why humans why we are the way we are, why I am the way that I am, why there's so much disagreement, so much conflict. And I made a video a couple years ago. Why do we disagree? I think it was a couple years ago. It may have been this year actually. And because I thought that that's what I was kind of going to make the channel about how since our mechanisms are not super reliable, they're pretty much the same, but they're not super reliable, and then they sometimes get different inputs, and then sometimes one little input can make a big difference, and that's why we disagree. Even when we all have the same evidence, and you can talk shit about your experiences, whatever. Look, I've seen miracles. I've never seen God, but God has definitely interacted with me. So, like, if we were basing it on our personal experience, I'd be in that camp. Um, but what was I saying? I'm extremely lucky to be alive in a time where I get why there are so many different beliefs. And you may not be confused by it. You may think that you get it. And sorry to talk down you. Let's say the person next to you might be like, I'm not confused about why people have different beliefs. It's because they had different experiences. You don't really have. I mean, yes, people have different experiences, but like, it's not all that different. And also, it's not like in those experiences, like they learned a truth, and then other people in other experiences learned like the truth, and there is no such thing as truth. And no, there is such a thing as truth. Can't say that I'm representing it correctly in here, but that's there. Whatever it is, and whatever there means. Okay. So I'm extremely lucky to not have the confusion that many people who were either different, were confused by conflict, were humble enough to be confused by conflict rather than just assuming they were right and writing it off, who, whatever other things I've talked about. So, all these millions of people who have fit in at least one of these categories had existed in a time when we didn't know that we were brains. And that literally changes everything. So, and it's, we call the 90s, we referred to that as the brain age. I don't know, maybe, when the ages actually get named, maybe from Darwin until like 2400, or I mean 12,400. And of course, remember, we're using the human era. So we add 10,000 years to the year. So we say that the human era started with agriculture. So right now it's year 1224. Actually, it's okay to say 1224. Um, No, because sometimes we do talk about the 13th century, but because I was thinking it's so long to say 1,000, no, 12,024, but maybe you can't say 1224. I feel like based on context, people will understand. Anyway, so we're 1224 right now, and between Darwin, so 19th century, correct me if I'm wrong, and sorry, 119th century and 124th century, let's say. So let's give ourselves another 200 years. In those centuries, so those 5 centuries, may be referred to as the Brain Age. First, you got in the 19th century, you got Phineas Gage. That is, I feel like, a big moment. But I don't really know my history of science. But you've got Darwin anyway. So whether or not we understood that the brain had played a super important role in personality, and we needed to learn more, because of Phineas. Whether or not we knew that before, with Darwin, we started to also understand the origins of the brain, the rules by which the brain came to be what it is. That's pretty cool. And then take us 200 years from now, from the recording of this video. Right now, around this time, in this 200-year block, or this 150-year block, or this, this 5/3 block, this block of 5/3 years, 100 years. Not that they even have to be evenly divided, but so we had the origins, the basics, the foundation with Darwin. Then we get step 2. Oh, the brain's also a part of that. Oh, my experience, my mind, psychology, everything. Oh, okay. And then step 3 is going to be the reprogramming. So the time when humans discovered they were biological animals determined by evolution. Move forward to the time when they discovered that, like, brains, so how the mind fit into that biological existence, and then they're able to change that biological existence, change that mind. So that would be the brain age, right? First of all, learning we're a biological existence. The brain learning at least that the body exists as a biological child of evolution. Second, learning that we are the brain. The second, B, learning that, oh, so then we are also the child of evolution. Like all my thoughts and stuff. Oh. And then having, enough, basic knowledge about neurons, and then we'll have reprogramming next. So, what tab, what taba, what TBA, just checking. And, but I can't live in a world of non-self-aware humans. I'm not salty that I may have contributed to humans becoming self-aware. Oh my gosh. So maybe that's too silly, but hey, it's okay to have ambitions. It's okay if, there's some future in which I would have been happy where humans knew that they were brains. But I'm okay having tried to contribute to the awakening, to the self-awareness. And I'm also okay understanding why everything's so confusing. I'm a brain. And their brains. Just neurons. Yeah, complex. Yeah, millions of years. Yeah, but It's still just biological entities. No wonder they're killing each other, blah, 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 and can't agree on it. Okay, I get it. I get it. So this whole soul thing we've been imagining the last like several hundred years, or this like intelligent thing, and like either this binary, like either you are or you aren't, like most humans are, and like machines can't be. That thing, that was just an illusion. Default mode network. Okay. Claustrum. Okay. You don't know. Okay, but maybe one of those two, or maybe some kind, some okay, activity between them. I got you. So I'm not. I'm not sticking around. I'm gonna regret having. I'm gonna regret saying this, but I'm not gonna start talking about suicide. I know I can't talk to anyone about it. Everybody gets all upset, so I know I have to experience this alone. Even though everybody would say, "Oh no, 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 you can talk about it." She's just, but if I do talk about it, then I'm not gonna talk about it. Or I am gonna talk about it, but I'm not gonna like talk about it. I'm not sticking around, right? Look, here's the thing. I have a debt to my parents. I will try to wait them out. I shouldn't forget my sister, but I'm not gonna wait that long. I love the life that I've had, and I love the life I'm gonna continue to have. And if I got some cojones on me, this time next year, I'm gonna be driving around Africa. I'm gonna be worried about life in Africa. I'm gonna be driving across the desert, across Libya. I'm just gonna be going all out, and I'm gonna just wait my parents out, but not avoid things making, not avoiding, you know, things making it, an exit earlier, even, or easy, Hold on, let's be real. Let's not be silly, let's not be weird and dark and okay. All I think I had a thought as I was waiting for the videos to transfer, which was a somewhat sellable, somewhat, just slightly more than not at all sellable line, is like a somewhat understandable justification for my eventual early departure, is like, how could you expect a self-aware brain to exist among non-self-aware brains? Hold on, don't take that out of context. Don't misinterpret that. I'm not saying I'm some genius who has all the answers. I think I'm super smart, and I think I got some important answers. I don't know that they're actually true. I don't. I'm a human brain. That's what's important. That knowledge. No other truth or intelligence or whatever what I'm talking about. I'm only talking about the knowledge that I am a human brain, and the humility that automatically comes with that. That even if I may think that I'm smart, even if I may think that somehow, and I'm confused by how, but I seem to be one of the only people who's understood something fucking important. Despite that, all of it might be wrong. And I can have that humility because I know that I'm a human brain. And I know that I don't see that humility when I'm talking to other people. They skip way too many steps. Steps that I used to skip as well. Maybe not as much, but because I've always been troubled by disagreement. How can I think that this thing is true? And you are looking me in the eyes, another intelligent, reasonable soul, and you are telling me that it is not. And I'm trying to believe you. I'm trying to understand. And what you are saying just seems wrong. What is happening? And what's happening is sometimes it was wrong because they were brains that didn't know they were brains. And sometimes it was right. And I'm a brain that just couldn't see it. I get that. And that's really major. And it's so small and silly and stupid, but it's really fucking huge and major. You're a brain. And I think that I think I started feeling a little funny. I think it might be the alcohol too, though. Also, I'm gonna have some alarms going off about publishing this, but hopefully I stuck to it. And here's why: not because I need someone to hear this now, because this is a fucking page expressing the things that I have expressed here. I know I've talked in other videos about, or I've alluded to it, but this additional illusion, it's a fucking page in the Eris book, and nobody ever asked to read the Eris book, but there's a lot in it, and so this is just one of the pages, and this needs to be part of the volumes. This frustration, this loneliness, this I don't really feel lonely. I mean, I do, but I talk to the other brains around me. I talk to the other program around me. It's just that sometimes in the conversation, I remember I'm talking to a brain that doesn't know it's a brain. And that can feel a little bit lonely. And also, it can feel a little bit lonely. Humility can feel a little bit lonely. When you're like, everything that I'm saying might be wrong, and they're like, oh, you should consider that. Did you hear me? And also, wait, what about you? Being willing, happy, eager to seed, looking for opportunities to agree with other people can be really lonely when other people sometimes aren't doing the same. Everybody has that in them, though. And everybody, including me, has also in them a resistance to seeding and so on. But I was so troubled by my cognitive dissonance that I happened to lean more one way than anyway. But you too, you too are happy to say every morning everything that I think might be wrong. When you hear someone say you're wrong, there is a voice in there that would love for there to exist a strong voice in there that is curious. What do you mean I might be wrong? First, you have to have some balance because, 100 people walk by me and tell me this isn't a mug, and none of them are able to slap any assent here. And what are you gonna do? What are you gonna